Now, President Trump is threatening new tariffs on several European countries as part of his ongoing push to acquire Greenland, sparking concern in Europe and at home. The U.S. Supreme Court is preparing to rule on one of Trump's most controversial economic policies, his sweeping tariff strategy. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says it's very unlikely the justices will strike it down, but the decision could have far-reaching effects on global trade and the U.S. economy. Trump announced a new round of tariffs on goods from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, and United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland. The tariffs start at 10% on February 1st and rise to 25% by June 1st. Trump did not cite the exact law he's using, but experts say it likely mirrors his previous move under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which lets the president respond to an unusual and extraordinary threat with economic tools. Treasury Secretary Bessent defended the plan Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press, saying the Supreme Court is unlikely to overrule the president's key economic policy, citing past decisions like the 2012 ruling upholding the Affordable Care Act. The U.S. claims Greenland is critical to counter Russia and China in the Arctic. Trump has repeatedly said he wants to purchase Greenland, a territory of Denmark, but European leaders have rejected the idea. European leaders from the 8 targeted countries released a joint statement calling the tariffs a threat to transatlantic relations and reaffirming Denmark and Greenland's sovereignty. While back on tariffs, Bessent argues that striking down the tariffs could create chaos for markets and says that the Treasury has enough funds to cover refunds if required. But some estimates suggest refunds might reach hundreds of billions, even up to $1 trillion, depending on how the ruling is applied. But lower courts have already found parts of Trump's tariff regime that may have exceeded presidential authority. If the Supreme Court agrees, companies could seek back billions in tariff payments, and the White House may have to pivot to other trade laws to maintain duties. Critics warn that broad executive tariff power could shift global trade policy and unsettle markets. However, supporters say that tariffs protect American industries. But whatever the decision might be, the ruling will shape trade and execute power for years.